All right, man. Tell us what's on your mind.
Yeah, so I don't have any data in there for the holiday. So all of my charts are going to be without that brief session we had. But this was Friday's action and Friday's close, and this is on a daily basis. And I'm just pointing out a couple of things. One is we broke this little tiny trend line here, which doesn't mean a lot, but it's, putting me more in a neutral bullish stance. This point of control up here, 37.95 is important. That's right there. Getting back into this upper balance would be good. Any kind of a slice through this upper balance, which I was going to talk about later, but any kind of a slice through this is going to be very bullish, in my opinion. The other thing that noted is the market pulled back to the 20-period moving average, and buyers came in and supported it. And then the last thing I noticed is this. This is the delta for the last few days. I mean,
Wow.
it's just unmistakably going down while the markets are pushing higher. I have no clue if that's going to mean anything in the long run, but it's very weird to me. I just wanted to point it out. It's nothing I'm going to act on. So the the longer term perspective is still mostly bullish. And the big question is going to be, are we testing back into this range, or are we going to head down to this point of control, which is at 37.24? Now, right now we're at 37.88, so that's 50 points lower. Quite a bit lower. On the intermediate term kind of look, I just have this up, and this is the balance that we were in before. And this balance kind of went into a consolidation. The consolidation is between 37.68 to 38.23. On Friday in the overnight session, we kind of tested the lower end of the range. In Friday's day session, we kind of pushed down below, tested below, and closed down there. But, now we're gapping up and we're above it again. So overall, this is not that bearish, although Friday was kind of a day where you wanted to stay on the short side, and I did, which was great. But now that we're having this consolidation here, and again, it's right below this 37 area, I'm looking for two things at the opening that are going to be key. Basically it's going to be some sort of a move that's directional out of this range and goes above, pulls back, and then starts to break into higher territory. And this would make this whole intermediate time frame a little bit more bullish, and this breakout period bullish. And if we do take out the all-time highs, I would expect that we're going to have close to 50, 60 points on the upside, probably get, right around 3,900 before the next major turning point. On the other side, what I would expect is some sort of a test up and a rejection down. And basically what I'm looking for is what happens around this level. If we get an impulse away from this level, this 37.95 to the upside or the downside, I'm going to follow it.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is because we have now consolidated around this point of control for a long time. And because we've done that, we've created this rather large point of control right here. It's very prominent from this level. A lot of positions are put on here. It starts to impulse away from that. I think that those positions are going to start to liquidate, and that means big bull move or big bear move, and I think it's coming. So I'm going to really look. I'm neutral on the day session. I'm neutral. We're balanced in the overnight session. Just going to look for some of my classic signs of strength or weakness and go with it.
Excellent.
That's the plan.
That's good. The only thing I didn't, hold on, let me stay back on that. The only thing I didn't hear is that what if it checks down first?
Well, it could check down first, and I would be looking, if it did check down, I wouldn't expect it below this point of control from Friday. If we start to trade below this point of control, it's going to be my mechanism to kind of be looking on the short side.
Okay.
We break and hold below this area, which is 68s. Again, I think that that's showing that this whole balance, this whole gigantic balance is going to start to come unglued. So Again, this point of control area I think is going to be important from Friday. But other than that, if we check down and kind of do this, get down here and do this, obviously that would be an impulse away on the upside. In order for this to be an impulse away on the downside, I'm going to expect something that goes down, pulls back, and then breaks. The other alternative would be if it just comes straight through, and just takes out all of this. Now, I won't be on that short, but I would be on any kind of pullback.
Right. Right.
So I'm just going to watch for the first impulse really and see where the market tips its hands, because I don't think this is going to be one of those times where it's not obvious.
Right.
There's so much of a position here. It should be obvious what we're going to do. And if it isn't obvious, then maybe we're going to just balance. So I'm going to watch for something obvious, something big to change, to tip.
Very good. I'm gonna show you my screen, and we're not that far away from each other in terms of what's happening. So, let's see. You can see my screen now?
I can.
Okay. So in the daily price channel, in a similar way, we've got this buying campaign that's above the point of control. It's broken out, and then Friday tested in. We have the holiday, which I left on there. You know what? I'm not very uniform on leaving them in, taking them out. But the thing that I think matters is being above Friday's high as far as this price channel goes. So, because I think it's going to be resuming the breakout essentially.
Yep. Yep. And
Eh,
that would look like a test down, kind of
yeah,
test down and then back in,
yeah,
back out of the channel.
yeah. And you can see, to your point, that we've formed this point of control right here, and we built a balance, and then we tested the low side of the key LVN there, and so now we're pushing back up. And actually, the way it works out, interestingly, this actually took me a second to discover, but um, there's a couple easy ways to see this. You can see that we're right in the middle of this balance. But the thing is, and not that easy to see here, it's much easier to see here. Look what happened. And I'll spare us all the drawing, but blah, 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 balance, break down, and check back. And now we're dead smack center right in the middle of it. So,
Yep.
either it seems reasonable to me that either we're going to acquire a little bit more here before we just finally dump. And if we dump, I think we really dump today. Because this is pretty much classic balance, break, pull back,
Yep.
check, and go.
Yep.
Um, so the downside could be really, really quite explosive today, I think. So that's not scenario one. That's more like at the high time frame, like you were saying, higher to intermediate time frame. That's the situation. We're right back to balance after breaking it down. I don't think it's valid to call this a spring, because as you look at all the lows and things like that, we clearly destroy them and with more
Yep.
volume, so it doesn't quite make sense really why we're back up, other than nobody was really interested in selling it, so the buyers said, okay, we'll take it. But who knows if it's going to be enough. So the upside potential is the same idea, that we get a little bit of bouncing around, but the higher we move, the more threatening it is to this overall structure on the short side. So things I'm going to be looking for is staying above yesterday's or Friday's high rather. Staying above Friday's high is I think pretty bullish and important to testing the other side of the structure. And I'm not as good at reading what you call slices through this area unless it happens like extraordinarily quickly. And I'm talking about before within the first 30
You know what a
minutes.
slice is? I'll tell you what it is, and it's really clear when it happens. It creates an LVN on the day time frame.
Mm,
If it does that on the day time frame through the middle of that balance, watch out.
okay. Okay, that's good. I'm actually glad I said it. I'm glad you said that. So that's helpful. So then what that would probably look like is that we check up, we bounce around a little bit, and then boom, the move suddenly takes off, and then yeah, you're definitely, you should be pretty clear to hit the upside of this, and potentially more. So I'm going to be paying
Yeah.
careful attention. You can see that there's also this buying campaign underway in the daytime frame, which is in alignment with the larger one. So being above, this is what's kind of interesting, being above Friday's high is resuming the daytime breakout,
Yep.
and staying above today's overnight low is staying within this bullish channel here. So I mean, all said, we could just sort of balance in this area like this, and no side really has an advantage. But I mean, in my view, I think it's smarter to be on the bull side
You're seeing
unless we
movement
just dump
and start to see the
virtually
desire to
immediately,
act.
or before the
This
Globex
isn't a
close,
motion
and then
stepping
buyers
forward
just can't
and
hold it
reviewing
up, and then I
itself.
would expect
Talk
the
to it
weight to be
and
too
pivot
heavy and
back.
for it to tip over. So
Action,
I think you're right
location,
about that choppy
anticipation,
action, though. That's the one thing that we
timing,
don't want to get involved
access,
in. That's why
trigger.
I'm going to wait for an
Check
impulse
in
because
and
they're
breathe
always,
deeply twice.
I think, just like you
Action,
said,
location,
market wouldn't be up here
anticipation,
if it was weak.
yep,
It's
timing,
retraced a lot.
access,
It shouldn't
trigger.
really, I mean, the downside is a
You're at your
possibility,
best
but a
when you're
less of
slow,
one. Um,
deliberate,
and that choppy
purposeful.
action is definitely a possibility.
right. So yeah, I'm on that campaign idea. What I'm thinking is that buyers want either a better price or some sort of conviction that the path is clear. So I think that would result in some chop here right at this point of control,
Yep.
near the open. Now, the other thing I wanted to say and show you, which I think gives you just a little bit of a insight into what's happening here, is that if you look at the developing value here, you get this buying campaign. There's a couple things I wanted to point out because I asked you about what would happen if we slice down. So I think right here, this is basically Friday's high a day. You see that it tested once, tested again higher, sort of tested again at the mid, and then again at the very top. So on a down campaign that's ultimately going to be a bull campaign, I think to me is that here's the danger zone. Like this, we really can't go much past this and expect that bulls can maintain the control. Not, obviously, like anything can happen, but I would say at the amount of times that we've tested this, what would essentially mean is that, and again going back into the time frames of balance, what it essentially means is that you got a balance area like this and a balance area like that. Then you're going to come down and test the backside of balance and then make it all the way back to the top. Kind of unreasonable. Kind of unreasonable.
Yeah.
And
I think
then
you're right. I think you're right about that because if it does start to trade down there, there's going to be a lot of longs caught on the wrong side, and then
yeah, yeah.
a feather will be able to tip them over.
Yeah,
So
that's right. And especially since it's been such a raging bull market, like why buy high when you can buy low? You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's the thing has been blowing my mind about watching this market is the amount of times I was doing some reviews for the week and just saying the amount of times that the buyers are buying falling knives. They're just buying them, and I'm going, wow, it's incredible. Won't give up for losing. So all that to say. Um, if that happens, this could turn into a sort of massive balance session right here, with favoring the downside. I think if we get all the way down there quickly. So just more food for thought on how to read the day and giving us some clues. But the biggest point is that we are imbalanced to the long side, which means we've rejected balance and we're moving higher. And the buying
yep,
campaign is underway and holding. So.
yep. And if it looks weak on the upside, it's certainly not a sale. It should be obvious if sellers are going to step in. I think you should see it very clearly.
Yep, yep, yep. I 100% agree with that. So I think that sets the tone for the day, really.
Yeah. Well, excellent.
I love this, man. I'll tell you what, this is dynamite. I love doing these plans. Feeling such a rhythm with it. I don't think I'm gonna trade today, to be honest with you.
No problem. Well, at least we'll be able to watch, your action against this. So that's good.
Yeah, yeah, man. Well, good luck today. Hopefully, if I start to feel a little bit better, I can um get in. I mean, do you realize I've been off?